Hey guys, what's going on? It's Waseem here from Handsome Smiles. Thank you for joining me on another fragrance related video. So guys, today I'm going to be doing my top 5 fragrances for the summer for the year 2016. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing this video so late, and so many of my other reviewers are now bringing out their best fragrances for the fall and autumn. Basically for me here in the UK, the summer started really late. We only really started getting really hot sunny weather in the last week of June. Till now it's been really sunny, been excellent, gorgeous weather here for the UK. It's been very hot, very humid at times, and I've really only been wearing my summer fragrances since the end of June. So these are going to be my top 5 fragrances that I reached for the most when I was going out, and I wanted to have that really lovely summery sort of vibe, and I wanted my fragrances to match that vibe as well. So let's get this list started. Starting the list off at number 5 is a fragrance from the house of Nautica, and that fragrance is Nautica Voyage. Nautica Voyage is a fragrance which opens up very clean, like a sea breeze, guys. It really makes you feel like you're sailing through the Maldives on your yacht and you're wearing this white shirt. You pick up notes of green apple and lotus in the opening. The lotus really giving it this beautiful seawater like quality to it. The scent also has some subtle greenness in the composition as well, which to me invokes the feeling of walking through the white sandy beaches of the Maldives, surrounded by those palm trees. It's absolutely beautiful, guys. It's a scent which is featured heavily in many people's lists, and it's featured heavily in many people's rotation for the summer, and simply because it's an outstanding smelling fragrance. Another positive of Nautica Voyage is its performance. On my skin, this fragrance lasts up to 10 hours, which is absolutely outstanding for a summer scent, and the projection is excellent. It really fills up the room, people can smell you, and you have to be really careful with the spray on this one. I do about 2.5 sprays. I do half a spray to the chest and 2 sprays on the neck. If you spray too much of Nautica Voyage, you're going to choke yourself out and you're going to give yourself a headache. It's a great fragrance. At number 5, it's Nautica Voyage. And number 4 is a fragrance from the house of Dolce&Gabbana, and that fragrance is D&G Pour Homme. Guys, D&G Pour Homme is a classic in the men's fragrance game, and it has been a classic since the 90s. D&G's Pour Homme opens up on my skin with a fresh, clean, slightly bitter citrus opening with some subtle pepper in the background. The introduction to the fragrance is just glorious. It's immensely seductive. The citruses are just outstanding. As the fragrance develops, you get this noticeable lavender note, which further adds to the freshness of the scent, and it also gives it this beautiful soapy quality to it as well. Into the dry down, you get this subtle tobacco note. It's not in your face, but it's there. It's definitely noticeable, and it really just adds such oomph to the scent. The tobacco note just separates it from the other citrus fragrances you get in the market. It separates it from the other fresh, clean summer fragrances as well. The tobacco just adds a lot of boldness to the scent. It's absolutely amazing. It just gives it so much character. D&G's Pour Homme is a bold scent, like I've said, and it's so classy and sophisticated. Whenever I wear this, it just makes me feel like such a suave gentleman. I feel like one of those 50s movie stars when I'm wearing this scent. It's beautiful. It's an amazing scent. Definitely one to check out, and it's great for the summer. In terms of longevity, it lasts on my skin around 8 hours, with the projection being moderate. It's not a scent which projects massively. People which are quite far away from you aren't going to be able to smell you unless they come quite close to you, but it's a scent which you have a great scent cloud around you. I definitely notice it on myself, especially when I'm moving around, so it's definitely a good scent to have in your collection, and it's great for the summer, guys. It's a bold, seductive fragrance, and it's very different from the other citrus fragrances out there due to that tobacco note. Definitely one to check out. At number 4 is D&G Pour Homme. And number 3 is a fragrance from the house of Chanel. It's from their Allure line. The fragrance is Chanel's Allure Homme Edition Blanche. Now, Edition Blanche opens up with a very strong citrus opening with the lemon and a beautiful pink pepper note in the background, giving the scent some hotness. The opening is very tangy and fizzy. It's like opening a can of pop or soda. It has that fizzy, tangy sort of feel. The lemon is definitely the prominent note in the opening. Along with the pink pepper adds a little bit of spiciness and some hotness to the citrus. As the fragrance develops, you get this creaminess and some sweetness as well. Both the creaminess and the sweetness come from the notes of the vanilla and the sandalwood. Now these notes aren't too prominent, and so it doesn't make the scent too sweet or too creamy as for a really hot summer day. The fragrance never becomes too cloying. The sandalwood, the vanilla just blend so well together with the lemon and the pink pepper to create a beautiful composition, which is perfect for those hot sunny days. Chanel's Edition Blanche is not your generic citrus designer fragrance. It has so many characteristics and so many facets that it's a scent on my skin that is similar to D&G's Pour Homme. It's so classy, it's so sophisticated. It's not like your generic citrus fragrance. In terms of longevity on my skin, it lasts around 6 hours, which is quite disappointing. I really wish it lasted a little bit more, but 6 hours is kind of the benchmark for summer fragrances. In terms of projection, on my skin I get around 4 hours of moderate projection. It's not beastly by any means, but it's definitely noticeable for you and someone that's quite close to you in those 4 hours, after which it becomes very subtle and becomes more of a skin scent. So in terms of performance, it leaves a lot to be desired, but the scent itself is outstanding. I really do enjoy wearing it, and it's coming at number 3. That's Chanel's Edition Blanche. And number 2 is a fragrance from the house of Creed, and that fragrance is Aventus. Now Aventus is a fragrance which many people consider to be a king. It's a fragrance which gives them a lot of compliments. Now I'm a type of guy that doesn't receive many compliments. Maybe it is because of the fact I live in the UK. It might not be part of the British culture to compliment someone on the fragrance they're wearing. A lot of the reviewers and people that say they receive a lot of compliments from not just Aventus but many other fragrances tend to be reviewers from America, Canada and USA. A lot of my British reviewers don't really talk about the compliment factor too much, so it might be just the way our culture is. But Aventus is a fragrance which quite surprised me in terms of compliments. I've been receiving quite a fair bit of compliments from Aventus, especially at work as well. And 2 of the compliments I've received at work were quite negative actually. If I start off with a positive, one of my colleagues which sits beside me, she said that it smelled really nice that day, and she said she could really smell it, so it's definitely a scent which projects really well. I had another colleague that sits behind me, and she said on that day, I just walked into work, I took off my suit jacket, and she said, oh, have you got a new fragrance? And I was like, no, not really. This is a fragrance which I've had in my collection for about a year, and I've just decided to wear it that day. And she was like, it smells very strong. So she definitely felt like the scent did project really strongly. I don't think she was a fan, but it is definitely a scent which she could smell. So in terms of performance, Aventus is fantastic. You definitely have to be light on the trigger. On that day, I just did my standard half a spray to the chest and 2 on each side of the neck, but it really does project very strongly. And another time, another female colleague I work with said that the scent I was wearing that day, she said it reminded her of a former colleague that she used to report to, saying that that former colleague used to drown himself in this scent. And again, I don't feel like the compliment that I got on that day was a positive one. It was more of a negative one. So yeah, take it from what you will, guys. I really do enjoy wearing Aventus anyway. For me, it's a very pleasant scent. On my skin, it opens up very woody and very smoky, guys. In the first couple of hours, I really get this sour vibe. I feel like the sourness really comes from that green apple and the smokiness coming from the birch wood. As the scent develops, it becomes sweeter on my skin. The pineapple and the blackcurrant really start becoming more prominent, especially those fruity aspects of the scent becomes more prominent on me. And it becomes sweeter as the fragrance develops. The smokiness and the woodiness are definitely there, but they're on the background. They're not as prominent and as strong as they are in the opening. In terms of performance, longevity on my skin is 10+ hours. You can't complain. This stuff lasts all day. And in terms of projection, like I've said from the examples I gave, is excellent. People will notice you, and you don't want to be spraying too much of Aventus because you're going to be choking yourself out. In terms of versatility, Aventus is the king of versatility. In terms of occasions, you can wear this to work, casual, dates, nights out, formal occasions. You can wear this during the day or night. It's such a winner in that department. A great scent. For me, it's very pleasing, but some people did find it a tad bit too strong, so you have to be careful with the trigger. But I really enjoyed wearing this fragrance this year. That's Aventus at number 2. Alright guys, we're at number 1 now, and the fragrance which is number 1 for the summer 2016 on my list is the same fragrance which was number 1 in my summer list of 2015, and that fragrance is from the house of Miyake. The fragrance is Pour Homme. Pour Homme is no surprise to myself that it's been number 1 again. It's a terrific summer fragrance. It has so much going on for it, and the performance, especially on my old bottle, is terrific. I get around 12 hours of longevity, with projection being excellent. A lot of people notice this one, and it's my number 1 most complimented fragrance in the past 5 or 6 years. I've received so many positive compliments from this scent. The fragrance itself has so many characteristics and facets. It's got a lot of citruses. There's some sourness to the scent. There's some aquatics, that watery sort of feel. There's some sweet florals, and there's some woodiness. There's so much going on in this scent, guys. Some spiciness from the cardamom, the tobacco note. There's so much going on. The scent opens up with a blast of citruses. It's very fresh and invigorating. You get notes of bergamot, lemon, and especially the yuzu note. The yuzu note being a Japanese citrus fruit. As the fragrance develops onto your skin, it starts becoming sweeter. The opening does have a touch of sourness to it, but into the heart it starts becoming sweeter. You're introduced to some florals, and it has a touch of aquaticness to it as well, especially due to the lotus note. Into the dry down, you're hit with some touch of woodiness from the cedar wood, the sandalwood, and a touch of vetiver as well. All the notes in this fragrance combine together to create such a pleasing scent. It's my number 1 fragrance for the summer, and it has been for so many years, guys. Pour Homme by Miyake. So there you have it, guys. Those were my top 5 fragrances that I enjoyed wearing this summer for the year 2016. Those were definitely the fragrances that I reached for the most when it was a nice hot sunny day and I wanted to get into that summer sort of vibe. However, those weren't the only fragrances that I wore this summer. I've also been experimenting by wearing some of my fragrances which I typically wear in colder months in the hot humid weather here in the UK. So for the days where I knew I was going to be outdoors most of the time and I wanted a fragrance to last for a long time, some of my summer fragrances just weren't lasting long enough. For example, Kurkdjian was lasting on my skin around 6 hours, but I wanted a fragrance which would last around 10 to 12 hours, and I wanted the projection to be excellent as well. So I started wearing some of my heavier fragrances. The fragrances that I wore in the really hot humid weather were Aramis Calligraphy Rose, which is a beautiful milky rose scent with some smoky incense. M7 by YSL, which was arguably the first ever oud fragrance marketed towards the Western market. It has a beautiful cherry tobacco sort of vibe in the opening with some rosewood, and dries down with this sweet resinous ambery scent with the oud being in the background. And number 3, I was wearing Maison Kurkdjian's Oud Silk Mood, a beautiful combination of rose and oud, guys. It's so smooth. The woodiness of the oud just balances so well with that really dark jammy rose. Beautiful scent. And at number 4 is Amouage's Lyric Man. Lyric Man has that soapy, citrusy rose scent with some incense and some pepper. All 4 brilliant scents which just works really well for me in the hot humid weather. So guys, definitely experiment with your heavier frags in the heat and see how that works out for you. None of these fragrances were cloying on my skin at all. I sprayed them quite conservatively. 1 spray to the chest and 1 to the neck. 1 big spray to the neck, and that was it. These fragrances lasted on my skin 12 plus hours with the projection being excellent. Especially these fragrances work well when you're outdoors. I didn't really wear them when I was indoors in in the summer, because then it definitely would have been cloying. But if you're outdoors, if you're going to be spending a lot of time in the park or outside with your friends, it's definitely a good idea to test these heavier fragrances out in the hot, humid weather. So there you have it, guys. Those were my choices. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, then please do leave me a like and a comment below. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then please make sure you do. Until next time, my friends, see you later.